Hey there everyone! My name's Fawful theLEGO and welcome to the Fickle Pickle Jar, a show made up of random editorials made by the various members of Fanfickle. Well, I've decided to check in this time around, not just for the free pickles, but to talk about something that's been catching my attention lately. So what's up with StarFox? You get one pure diamond gem, and then you get those less pretty stones that get overlooked by the general audience. Notice how I say less pretty and not dull. This will be important, folks. But before we talk about the big games in question, let's start off with the classics. First up, we have the SNES era of StarFox games. The original StarFox pulled off a pseudo 3D look, and was considered one of the first of Nintendo's attempts to make 3D graphics, similar to the Japanese exclusive X. It's quite impressive as a period piece, and though some say the gameplay hasn't aged that well, I personally think it's impressive today. A game that isn't hated, but then again, nobody really talks about it either. Next up, StarFox 2, the game that never happened. Sort of. It's true that Nintendo never released this game officially. However, some concepts such as the Walker transformation, a playable character roster, and Star Wolf of all things, were reintroduced in later installments. What's more, there does exist a playable ROM created around 2015. I don't advertise emulation, but I can't really stop you. Mother 3 didn't stop me after all. Another game that deserves a look at for history's sake, but otherwise an interesting, if short, space shooter with real-time strategy elements. I suggest playing hard mode for the ideal experience. And now, the big one, StarFox 64. This game is loved by everyone. It had branching paths with memorable bosses, it had teammates with full voice acting,
Do a barrel roll!
and it had fully realized 3D, thanks to the power of Nintendo 64. This game would set the standard for every future installment. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I wasn't that big on it when I finally tried it out. It works phenomenally well, and the remake is no different, but I don't know. I feel that the love of this game prevents people from enjoying other titles of the franchise. Here's what I mean. Ever since Super Smash Bros., people wanted to see how Fox would play outside of the cockpit. Myself no different. And that was part of why Nintendo collaborated with Rare to create Star Fox Adventures, the most infamous installment of the series. If it wasn't the really odd voice acting dialogue, and new characters that turn people away from this particular GameCube title, then it was the dramatic change in gameplay. Also, no blaster.
It's always the same with you, Fox. Shoot first, ask questions later.
It took more of a Legend of Zelda style, though how it pulled it off is debatable. Since I've never played this one, I'll have to take a quote from another member here. The combat was simple, but it got the job done. The voice acting was relatively decent after they dropped the whole dinosaur language. The R-Wing sections are a fun distraction, and the story is kinda cool with awesome boss battles. But regardless, this wasn't exactly the game people wanted. Okay, so I get it. We want more of the same, you say. Capture the charm of the classic gem, right? Enter Star Fox Assault, my personal favorite game in the franchise. The game focused more on the on-rails shooting compared to the previous entry, but that still barely made half of the main campaign. Around 55% of the game is on foot, but don't worry, we've got a blaster this time. I don't hear people get as angry about this game compared to Adventures, but I still hear it gets a lot of undeserved flack. That's pretty disheartening too, as most of what people consider flaws I consider really enjoyable. People may not like the on-foot combat, but I personally find it just so much fun. And the multiplayer is well expanded over the N64's version, though I still haven't gotten the courage to ask friends to try it out. The voice actors also get crap for not being as notable or as laughably bad as the original N64 version.
Let's go, team.
Just okay at best. To which I say, you kidding? The voice cast is a great step up from the previous games, especially Jim Walker as Fox. He really hit home with Fox's more serious tone.
Those without strong wills can be easily turned to evil.
Those without strong wills, allies or enemies?
What is it, Fox?
Nothing. That sounds like someone I know, that's all.
At the very least, Fox didn't turn out like this.
All right, StarFox, full speed ahead. StarFox is back.
Or this.
Sure, Falco. It's great to have you back.
Or even this.
Landmaster!
All in all, Star Fox Assault was a beautiful game with a fresh new story and an absolutely fantastic soundtrack. It had higher stakes and took plenty of risks. And not to mention, we got a new true villain that wasn't Andros, finally! And speaking of new villains, let's get to the second most infamous game of the series, Star Fox Command. Hoo boy, where do I even start? Well, I guess I should start off with, I love this game. The game seemed to be learning from its mistakes from previous iterations. For one, it got rid of on-foot sections immediately. Second, it gave us back branching paths. Though it wasn't as stressful because you had complete control over where to go once a mission was finished, rather than a branching path within the stage itself. Sure, it didn't have on-rail segments save for missile pursuits and the true final boss. And sure, it didn't have voice acting either. But it definitely felt more like the Star Fox people wanted. So, how did they mess it up? Simple. Multiple endings, my friend. I have no other explanation for why the series would just stop like that for so long. And it's such a stupid reason, too. This problem could have been solved by making a new game and making one of the endings canon. Heck, they had potential with some of the silly endings. Start up a new generation of Star Fox with Marcus McCloud. Make a new entry with Dash Bowman as the main antagonist. And probably the biggest missed opportunity, a spin-off / crossover with the F-Zero series. Like, come on! Who wouldn't want to see Fox and Falco rolling around at the speed of sound with Captain Falcon? But I digress. So, what have we learned from all of these games? No on-foot sections, only the R-Wing. No new voice actors. The originals were terrible and we love them, I guess. No expanding the story, because plot is unnecessary. No gimmicks, no experimentation, no new stuff. The conclusion? You guys want Star Fox 64 again. Well, that worked. And since it sold better than Command, maybe they should do it again. That's apparently the case, if Star Fox Zero has anything to say about it. It's pretty much what everyone wanted out of a Star Fox 64 sequel. And yet, people are still complaining. What's that? It's too short of a game, you say? Well, so were these ones. Sure, it's short, but that's if you ignore the various challenge missions, arcade mode, and Star Fox Guard. A game that's well worth it on its own. Sure, it forces you to use motion controls, but they're really impressive and you can set it to when you're firing. And I really like the new vehicles. They add a lot of new ways to play. My favorite being the R-Wing's walker form. And that's my issue with Star Fox fans and critics. They put Star Fox 64 to such a high pedestal, saying nothing can compare. Meanwhile, I'm just enjoying these games with no need for comparison. Assault and Command are two of my favorite games, and I've really been giving some appreciation to Star Fox Zero as well. What I'm trying to say is, give these games a chance. Give them some time to invest. Nobody's a master at day one. And that sure holds true for Star Fox. Sure, one of them might not hit your fancy, but another could be an immediate favorite. I genuinely recommend any of these games to add to your collection. You never know what you might like until you try. Well, thanks for listening to my ramblings. Remember that opinions are opinions, but keep an open mind. Until next time, guys.